had that mentality of, oh, it's great, the United States is great, there's money growing on trees and everybody lives so
Everybody thinks.
well. And when they come here and they realize how hard people work, especially for
Mhm.
them who now have to come in and either work at a McDonald's or work at a warehouse, night and day, making minimum wage,
Mhm.
it's a big eye opener.
Yeah, people get disillusioned quick. Yeah, I know a lot of people who they come on that visa and they come on like a travel visa and they get here and they realize like cuz they they not traveling. They come here to work and they work and they're like, you know, they're struggling. It's like, yeah,
Right.
you're getting this is what you're getting paid. This is why no one wants to be here. Everyone wants to like unfortunately they come here, they work, but they really want to go back to their country and start a business or they have different ambitions because this is Babylon and this is where people come to work and build and you know ideally the best situation is to have like a business and then like send money back. And a lot of us, I've done it. I created a business, in Dominican Republic for, to help my people. Unfortunately, my businesses didn't work, but you know, I've made other investments in other things and hopefully those things pan out, but for the most part that's like what happens in when you're a foreigner and your country is a third world country, you want to go back and help, and a lot of times it just doesn't happen. You
It's
know,
hard to help.
it,
It's hard to help because,
yeah. Tell me the mentality of the Dominican people.
oh man, it's hard to help because, like I said, people think that you are this piggy bank,
Mm-hmm.
and they think, oh, this person doesn't know how this works, so I'm just gonna play them out, right quick. And you come out so disillusioned. Like we talked about it before.
Mm-hmm.
I started a coffee brand. I started all the process and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And you'd be surprised the amount of people that try to play you
Can you talk
on a
about that?
daily
Can you
basis.
talk about that journey because that's actually very interesting.
It's very rough
Yeah.
because,
So you started for the audience. You started a company, a coffee company,
yes,
right? Okay.
uh, a
Like,
wholesale company.
yeah.
So there's a lot that entails into that. So I was actually sitting here doing research and finding out where I need to send somebody to do X, Y, and Z. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm over here calling places and then calling my people. Hey, you need to be over there. You need to fill this out, pay this much, and they're gonna give you such and such. You have to go to this other facility. So I was over here doing all of that work, and when I went over there, I was so disillusioned quickly because everywhere that you go, people are trying to play you for your money and not actually do any work.
Mm-hmm.
And you really want to like help people. You see people in bad situations, but they're not helping you help them.
They don't want to help themselves.
It's very tough.
Yeah.
It's very tough.
That's really what it is. My experience. Same experience for the audience again. Started four different businesses in one plaza. And they all ended up failing because literally the people that I was trying to help, not for me, because I didn't need to. I don't live
Right.
there. My life is good. Like I'm great. I'm good. But just to help my family, and then they're gonna just take it easy and not really work, and like I'm looking at the cameras and they're on their phone 24/7. It's like that that mentality. It's kind of like the people that live in New York City. Like they have a specific kind of mind state because they live in the city. They're always like walking fast and they gotta. It's like the hustle and bustle kind of lifestyle where they're always like doing something and walking around like they're just different. And in DR, everyone's just like, oh, I'll get to it when I get to it. It's
A
okay. I'll
hundred
do it
percent.
later. It's like they're just so chill about being broke. It's weird, right? It's like a weird thing. And then they complain. And then, my second mom, my dad's polygamous, blah, blah, blah. So my second mom, not my birth mom, she's upset because she wants like this perfume or cologne, this perfume that she wanted me to get her, right? And I told her, yeah, I'll get it for you. but she's so like she just keeps asking me, and I that's the worst thing you could do to me because I just won't do it. Like you just bug me about something,
That pressure.
and I'm doing it for no reason. Like this is not no special birthday gift. This is just because you just asking me, you know. And what's weird is that I wouldn't buy like $100 perfume for me, but somebody who has less than me wants to have $100 perfume. It's like you could have asked me to get you $100 worth of stock. Like I would probably be more,
Inclined.
yeah, to help you in something that could help you. Like it's gonna help you in the future. But no, they rather just like I'm gonna spend $100 on something that literally I'm gonna use in a month. Is gonna be gone. I'm not gonna. It's like for
It's
me.
back to that mentality of you live somewhere that and your life is so great and so
Mhm.
luxurious. What is $100 to you? That's nothing. It goes back to that, but it's not about the $100.
It's not.
It's again, it's does it provide value? That's
There.
what they don't understand.
Yeah. That it's that poverty mindset where they won't take $100 to go and rent a little spot or buy some water bottles and go sell the water bottles. Like that's not where they're at. Their mind is, oh, I just want to hang out. Like, let me just, send me $100 so I can go and get a drink, have a drink or something. It's weird, but that's the situation our people are in. They're just, it's unfortunate.
That's one of the conversations that I usually have because you would think, okay, oh, there's never any money.
Mhm.
We work so hard and we have no money left. But there is a lot of money moving around. I mean, if you look at people that own bars, people that own clubs,
Mhm.
these people make a lot of money because you have people that will get paid today, go tonight, blow out their check, and then to go to their friends, hey, can I borrow 2,000 pesos because I need to pay rent by tomorrow and I don't have the money.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like this loop or this endless loop of just you know wasting your money, throwing it away in something that has no value or is not good for you, and then just putting your family well-being on the line just to go and have a few drinks and
Mhm.
for a couple of days with your friends when, like you said, it's like this broke mentality or just being chill about being broke, not
But
just about being broke but not evolving.
but they complain about it. So it's one thing to they everyone wants to work, but then here's the thing. Okay, you speak to women in DR and they all want to start the same thing. They all want to sell clothes. It's like,
Or a hair salon.
yeah, or a nail salon. It's like, don't you guys want to do something different? Don't you guys want to be
You're
different?
saturating the market.
It's like it's already so crazy.
Mhm.
It's like every other girl selling clothes and doing nails, and it's like, don't you guys want to do something different? And it's another thing is you have in specifically in Dominican Republic, the Asian community, they start moving in and they're starting to start and they started slow. This is like a slow roll where they first they started opening up, like random chicken spots where they're selling like fried chicken. It's crazy. And then now they moved into the exporting and importing. So now
Mhm.
they're importing a lot of the like toys and wigs and this that, like they're literally they taken over Dominican Republic's
Yes.
market. So now let's say you try to start a business, you can't compete with the Chinese people that are opening up, let's say a distribution company there because they're bringing in low quality products, and Dominicans would rather buy low quality products than actually buy like
For
your product.
less.
Yeah,
Right.
because they're getting it for cheap. It's like my sister, she's involved in like the diaper industry, and one of the things that she's told me, and I've seen it with my own eyes, like there's a guy in Dominican Republic who he's illegally selling expired diapers, and he has connections to the Dominican government. So somebody that he knows was able to allow him to get the license to import in these diapers. So, and I don't know how he's getting it through customs, but he's bringing in diapers, and he's like he completely took over the diaper industry in DR, because what he does is he brings in these diapers that are like almost expired, right? And then he has like a group of people that put them in different, like different categories. Like, well, these are good. Let's just put them there. They're good enough. And then he makes like bags and he's selling them for like no one, like you can't bring in diapers and compete with him because his diapers are always going to be lower than yours, because you actually are going to a manufacturer, getting them manufactured and doing the things the right way,
Properly.
where this guy's just like finding loopholes to bring in, and then the government is allowing this to happen. So it's like a mixture of, just it's politics. It's like the whole country is really, yeah.
That makes me think of the whole thing of the issue with the Haitians that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Of the I don't have the statistics in front of me, or the numbers, but it was some crazy number that there's about, I think, 60,000. Let's say, for example, there's 20,000 Haitians being deported a month, but there's like 60 coming in, 60,000.
Yeah, you're at a net negative.
So it's kind of like you're not. Nothing is happening.
Can't do nothing. And this
It's
is
a
another
business.
thing. The Haitian people that are in Dominican Republic are not natural to the Dominican. They're not indigenous to the Dominican
Right.
Republic. Like, these are Africans who are from Africa, who were brought here by the French, who are now claiming that the land is their land. Yo, this is the craziness that has been going on in that small little island, which is nuts.
And it's the Dominican government. I mean,
100%.
you have to protect your borders.
100%.
But again, it's a business. You have these Haitians, I'm sorry, paying, I don't know, 2,000 pesos to get in through the border. These people are racking stacks with these Haitians.
And not only that, but the Haitian people come to DR and they work, and they actually they do the concrete, like
Right.
they do the hard labor. But then again, it's the companies that are hiring them. A lot of them are you look at the big construction companies that employ, all of their employees are Haitian, minus the
Right.
and this is like if you see the classism that's in Dominican Republic, it's disgusting. You have, and this is pretty much a perfect example of it. You have the working concrete, like the laborers, they're usually like Haitians. Then you have the managers. It'll be like some Dominican guy who graduated from like the university. And then you have your engineers who will be like Spaniards who come in. And then you'll have the guy who's funding it, which is usually either a Jewish guy or a Spaniard guy. And that's the hierarchy of what's going on in Dominican Republic. And it's kind of like, yo, well, where I stay in Piantini, which is like, for those that don't know, it's like the wealthy area of Dominican's capital, like the capital. And when I'm there, it's like I don't see Dominicans like in like normal. I see they're either the wealthy Haitian people, like wealthy Haitians, or Spaniards, or Jewish people. Those are the three kinds of people that you'll find in that area. Mostly Spaniards, though. And it's just cringy to be walking around and you see all your people like living in these really crappy homes, and it's like they have no other way out of there because they're in the hustle and bustle. They're all doing taxis. Like, everyone's dad is a taxi driver. You know?
That's correct. It's a big issue. That makes me think of like the issue that's happening here of the 7 million plus immigrants that we have now, and you have these people asking you to have to sponsor one of these immigrants, take them into your home.
Would you marry an immigrant for $10,000, and for you to give them like a green card?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
I would hope not.
I wouldn't. It's $10,000 is not enough money. Even if you wanted to pay 20,000, that's not enough money. It's a big commitment.
That's crazy. You're gonna have to get married, and you gotta fake it till you make it. So you guys gotta go on dates. Gotta take pictures so that when they do their investigation,
right?
It's crazy.
Listen, I worked at an immigration law firm for a few years. That. So
you look
people
like a lawyer.
don't. Thank you.
Hey, bougie.
No, it's a bigger commitment than
Mm-hmm.
that, right? Because now immigration has gotten to a level that they will literally go to your apartment and or speak to the super in the building and say, hey, you know, uh, John Doe and Susan Smith, they've been living here. He's like, well, Susan moved out 10 months ago. They
Mm.
split. They had a big fight. Blah blah blah. Mind you, these people, they have a lot of times they have no idea who they're speaking to. So they're going as far as that. So it's a bigger commitment than just, oh, let's get married, let's take some pictures, and go about our life. It's a
Right.
bigger commitment than that.
It is.
And then another thing is, if you marry someone to give them a green card, the law stipulates that if you have been married less than 2 years by the time you get the green card approved, that person will only get a 2-year green card.
Stay.
Right. So that means that in 2 years you have to renew. So in 2 years, if you're not married, if you're no longer together, if you're separate, you still have to prove that marriage was real again. And, you have
That's the
to,
whole thing.
it happens that couples get married, it doesn't work out, but you still have to prove again that it was a real marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just a thing of, oh well, we're just gonna take some pictures. It's a bigger commitment than that. And I think that before people actually do that by themselves, they should get some counseling and talk to lawyers that know how to
The
move
law,
around these
yeah,
waters.
yeah.
But I don't suggest anybody to do that illegally. I think that
Be married because you love someone.
right,
Yeah.
because it's such a sacred thing, like to actually get married. Who spoke about this? I think it was Candace Owens. I was talking about it and was saying that marriage. Why get married for other reasons if you're not religious about it? If it's not a serious thing to you, if it's not sacred, then why
Okay.
do that?
Do you now? This may be controversial.
Mm-hmm.
But what are your thoughts on the same-sex marriages? With that, in that regard, do you think that it's you know is it okay for same-sex marriages to happen, or do you think that it's
Whoa, you gotta look at what God says.
okay?
What
Okay.
does God say? You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Mhm.
A marriage is between
A man and
a
a
man and
woman.
a woman. And one of the things that I talk to my brothers about is like, if you are married,
Mhm.
if you're in a relationship, the next step is for you to get married. You get married, and you sanctify the relationship. You're in your home now, and it's a big deal now. And what's after that
Well, after marriage,
is children.
there's children. Yeah, that's the goal.
Because where does once if the cap is marriage, then like how can you make that better? How can you make that bigger? Like I
And you know that marriage actually helps society become a better
right.
place. Like a family, like nuclear family, does help society. It helps the economy. It helps your community. One of the things that I always say, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. It's like, strippers, you never really see strippers having charities. They're getting all these singles and they're doing all whatever, but they never give back to the community. Like,
Right.
if you're a stripper and you're making $300,000 a year, busting it low, then how about you create a charity and give something back to the community? Show some kind of, organization some love. But a lot of times, I'm not saying all strippers don't do this. There may be one out of 1,000, but
Right.
it's not like a common thing. It's not like all strippers come together and say, every day we're gonna give $20 of our earnings towards breast cancer or towards anything any of that stuff. So um
I think
just
that
yeah.
to do that kind of job, you have to be desensitized, very desensitized. And whoever wants to argue that, then
Mhm.
argue it. But you have to be desensitized, because in order to walk into a place like that and feel and get to a level of comfortability to do that every
Mhm.
single day and not feel like depressed, or not feel like you're worthless because that's what you're doing. You're setting a price. You're actually letting someone else set a price for you.
Mhm.
So I think that level of I don't know, I don't know what to call it, unawareness or that level of lost, I don't think it can lead to something like doing a charity.
What I think is that women have, these women specifically, not all women, they don't have any shame. They're not being shamed.
Oh yeah.
And for those that are being shamed, it's so this is, it's because it's just like a whole thing, but the point is it's shame. What I've noticed is that a lot of women who do like crazy stuff online, they, posting all these nudes and this, that, and the third, they delete comments from guys or other girls who are like saying negative things, who are like, oh, well, you're doing this and that, and, we think you look crazy, or you're getting fat. They'll just straight up delete the comment. So how are you, like, they live in a false reality, because all when they scroll through the pictures, like the next day or 2 days later, all they're seeing is all these positive things. Yeah, but they didn't see all the people, because they're spending like all the whole time deleting.
Mhm.
And like at some point, I think,
Or limiting the comments.
yeah, when they're young, they sit there and argue with the guys like, oh, well, why don't you just blah blah blah. It's like it's like the young women that are doing that. And then as they get older, they're like, I'm not gonna deal with this. I'm just gonna delete it and block them. Like,
Right.
I just don't know. I think that we, as a people, we have a lot of work to do with our women, and a lot of work to do with weird men. Like, there's a lot of weird guys out there who are supporting a lot of weird things. I forgot who I was talking to, but I was trying to find out. Oh, I know. So I was trying to find out what kind of guy is paying for like these girls' OnlyFans, right? So what I did was I went to an OnlyFans page, like girls page, like her
Right.
Instagram, and I was going down the comment section until I found a comment that said something like that they know about like her OnlyFans, pretty much. Like, I was literally looking like, I
Wow.
wonder if I could find like what I want to see, what kind of guy is this. And when I clicked on it, what I saw was the type of guy that guy was. He was like a, not an attractive dude, that was on social media, really like clout chasing, trying to show money, young, um and I just thought that it was kind of interesting. It's exactly the kind of person that I thought it would be. A loser, like a dude who's just like not a, like, why,
Right.
I don't know. That I think you're paying prostitutes. Like, that's what it is. So I
I
don't
mean,
know.
those would be I would say those would be the type of men that would be looking into that type of stuff. Especially nowadays, people have a lot of time in their hands to be able to invest it into these extracurricular activities. Um, but like you said, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and I see a lot of these podcasts, like Fresh and Fit and
Mhm.
things of that nature, and I think they're so divisive.
Would you like some water?
Yes, please, thank you.
Yeah.
They're so divisive because you mentioned a key point when we were talking about the women in the Dominican Republic and that men are allowing these things to happen. But there's a lot of women that are just lost. Like, they don't know how the game works. They don't know how to go out in society and act to not specifically like, I want to pin you down and you're supposed to, be very square about the way that you behave, but you don't have a lot of guidance. Like,
Mhm.
you don't, a lot of women don't grow up with a father that actually cares about them.
Right.
And guys says, hey, you don't do this and you don't do that.
That's a
and
huge
don't be
thing.
with this guy. Don't be with that guy because that guy will not be good for you, etc.
Mhm.
Thank you. A lot of women don't have that.
Mhm.
And it's not their fault that their fathers are not involved in their lives. And it's, like I said, it's very divisive, and it's not in a way where we want to guide them or to help them or to give them something to think about. A lot of them, and we talked about this before, a lot of them, a lot of the people running these podcasts are just like trying to put down these women. And I know that what they're doing is not right.
Mhm.
But if your goal is to, like, for example, Larry Elder was in the Breakfast Club,
Mhm.
and they did a podcast together and all that, and when he went on the PBD podcast, they were like, how did you sit there and, just listen to these people, conduct a podcast in such a, I would call it a ghetto way.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, well, I know that I'm not going to get through to them, but the person watching, I can get through those people.
Mm-hmm.
And as you saw the comments, thousands of comments were like, wow, Larry Elder changed my mind. Like, I don't think I'm oppressed anymore. I don't think I'm a victim. I think
Mm-hmm.
that if I want a certain type of life, then I just, work hard, change my mindset, and, go for it.
What are some examples that you can give, or what's your perspective on being oppressed? Like, what is it that people see, and can you explain how they're not oppressed? Like, how are they not oppressed?
If you think about it, okay, so if you think about the times of slavery,
Mm-hmm.
people were oppressed because you couldn't just get out of your master's farm. You couldn't, you'd be beaten, killed, sold, whatever it was. And then if you think about today, you can go to whatever college you want. You can study whatever you want, especially today. There's so much access to free information, and people still decide to be ignorant,
Right.
and want to live in this bubble of, I'm such a victim, reparations, slavery. Like, that is such old news, Like, stop living in that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it happened. Like, everybody has to struggle personally. Not just talking about those times, but you had your struggle. You talked about how, you went to Pleasant Point and you saw how amazing it was. And you said, I'm going to change my mindset. I'm going to, you know, live a better lifestyle. And we, as Black people, if we don't get to that point, we're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you're going to continue to
Be a
believe
victim, yeah.
that you're oppressed when you're not. Like, and then the other misconception is the misconception of representation. Like, not just because somebody's Black, that means that they represent me
Mm-hmm.
and what is best for me. Because you had Barack Obama, and Barack Obama didn't really do anything for the Black community. So it's a mindset thing. Like, you're not oppressed. Wake up, get to work, do something about it. Find something you're passionate about. Work at that. Don't think that you're gonna get it by tomorrow, and just continue to work. Like, even during segregation,
Mm-hmm.
you had all these Black people that succeeded, that became lawyers, doctors, you name it. Like Martin Luther King, where did he come from? He didn't come from a time like now, where we live in easy times.
Yeah, super easy. It's super easy to make money now, for sure. You said something really important. There's two things that you said throughout the discussion that I want to kind of hit on. One was the father inside of the household,
Right.
having a father in the household, and two was the we're not oppressed and the representation aspect of it.
Right.
Because, and I want to just start with that because I know the father and mother thing that'll lead us down the cool conversation. We know we that's like our staple.
Right.
All right. So but the representation part, I see people like, I'll just throw out names like Kodak Black, Randy Moss, whatever, whoever Black person that's a celebrity that's out there. The perspective that a lot of people have when they're viewing, especially in the music industry and in sports in general, the perspective is that this is what we're good at. Like, this is all that we know how to do. And
or basketball.
Yeah, or basketball. But and I say, okay, well, how many Black owners of construction companies that that are going out there and are providing quality service, that are helping their communities, that are building, that have been doing it for generations, like that system? You don't see a lot of that, and at least I haven't. Maybe there is down south where everyone's Black, so you definitely have to have somebody that gets a niche market or whatever. But here up north, you don't see a lot of that. You see a lot of like Italians who are like construction workers, and they own construction companies, and those construction companies provide quality service, and they are like, they teach their children how to run their construction companies. And like here in the United States, there, I guess we're not taught the value of like a father in the household. So because that kind of experience that a father has or a man gets throughout his lifetime, he has no one there beside him to really pass it down to. It's one of those things where we can see with our own eyes how, it's been like a never ending cycle where we're just slowly chipping away at our own health, our own sanity, our own house. Like we're
Right.
destroying ourselves because we don't have a nuclear family, and the families that we do have, they're dysfunctional. It's like the dad's coming home drinking, smoking black and miles, and going outside and speaking. Like, I'm huge on vocabulary and speech. Like, I do not want to be associated with anyone who doesn't speak proper English. I have respect for everyone. However, keep the hell away from me. I don't care what you have to say. You barely know the only language that you learned. Like, at least we know Spanish, English. Like,
Right.
we came here and we were at a disadvantage, and now we're still in a position where, we're in a position now where we could speak proper English. We're speaking proper English. We're
Hmm.
not like, yo, what's good, my nigga? What's up? Like,
Right. Proper.
yeah,
Right.
it's like, come on. It's at some point you got to just call it out. It's like, yo, you guys are bums because you choose to be a bum.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a guy online. I want to give this guy a shout out. His name is Facet.
Dun dun dun.
I don't know if you guys know this guy. His name is Facet.
Facet.
Facet. He owns like a lingerie brand. He owns a lingerie
For
brand
women.
for women, yeah, and he has his own like style, and I always see him online. Like, he has a very unique marketing strategy where he'll take any video, it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, he posts like funny videos, and what he does is he'll post a video and then he'll like somehow bring it back to Facet. Like, it'll be like like a guy and a girl arguing, like a couple arguing, and then he'll say something like, well, if she had Facet on,
That's awesome.
he wouldn't, the whatever, like
That's
whatever
awesome.
it is. It's just he brings it back to his own brand, and
Right.
I just want to give him a shout out because I seen this guy when he had like a few followers and he started his business, and I seen him grow and I seen him implement the same strategy. Now, this is a black man who has implemented the same strategy for years. I don't know how his business is doing. I would assume that it's doing well because he has well known models that model his
It's
IG
fine.
models that model his stuff. So I think he's doing well, and I hope he's doing well for himself. But that's the kind of work ethic that I think our people need to really adopt. It's a work ethic where you're relentless. You find a niche. You find a way to be different. And I think we have some of the most creative people on the planet, and he's one of those guys. Like, you got to see him on IG. Is It's like, he puts his own personality into what he does, and it's good. But it's very few, very few people that actually are willing to put themselves out there and work consistently without, just to do their own thing, even when they think that all they got to do is go to work and do the 9 to 5
Right.
thing. They's like, nah, I'm never gonna do that. I'm gonna struggle until I make it. Like, that's the winning mindset for me. So yeah.
100%. And I know that you're saying about becoming this type of man, it gets tied down back to the family.
Mhm.
If you don't have that structure, then you're just flying around doing all these things, not being able to speak properly, not being able to, you know, at least maintain a good job. Like, that's something that is so basic, but it's
Yeah,
so hard for our people to do, to just maintain a job,
that's true.
and just be respectful, or of a company that's paying you for this. It's like, look, if your goal in life is to not, you know be at the bottom of the ladder, and not have to have a 9 to 5 and do what somebody else asks you to do, and you feel like you're not worth minimum wage, then you're the person that has to do something about it, not someone else.
I'm gonna tell you this. Like, me personally, I work. These guys could attest. I literally will go to sleep like 2, 3 in the morning, just doing stuff, and I don't kill myself. Like, I'm not, you know, someone that's like, oh, I'm gonna work until my back is broken. No, I'm gonna work consistently over time. I don't kill myself, and I enjoy what I'm doing because I have a vision. So in the road to my vision, I call it, it's a road of redemption. Like, I want to redeem myself and my family for being enslaved by Europeans and going through whatever. Like, I'm fortunate enough to have like my family estate still standing. Like, I know about heraldry, I know about legacy. My father was an instrumental part of my life with that regard. Like, I know my history, and I want to make sure that it doesn't stop with me. Like, my responsibility is, it's not structured enough so that I can pass it on without being like in a position where I'm like, damn, I have to, I don't, I gotta find out who I am and where I came from, and like, I don't want to be in that position. I want to be in the position where I'm passing on relics to my children. I'm giving them, like, for example, my father gave me this ring. This ring is like 100 years old.
Wow.
It belonged to my grandmother, his grandmother, and it got passed on, and now I have it. It was for my dad. This was like his most important, material thing, and I know that when I pass, I'm gonna pass this on to my child. Like,
Right.
it's gonna be just something in the family, but there's gonna be history written about it. Like, right now, I'm currently writing about all the things that I think that I would like my children to know. I'm, incorporating their trust documents and talking about it within the indenture and what I want to see, and like really doing something beyond like what our people are doing, like where they're at currently. Like, it's my duty to do so. So there's a bunch of other men out there who have knowledge who just choose not to help their people because they're solely focused on themselves. And I think that's like, it's 2023 and we're about to go to war. Like, it's World War
Right.
Three out here. The whole world could be destroyed like this. So if people don't start just release the, stop giving people crumbs and just start letting the
Right.
bread go. Let the bread fly, cuz everyone needs to know exactly what's happening.
That makes me think of the whole thing, and you're talking about passing down to your children and
Mm-hmm.
all that, and what's going on in the world. It reminds me of Donald Trump
Oh yeah,
and
go ahead.
how they're doing all of this to him,
Oh
and
man.
they're doing all of this to him. And
Yeah.
but one of the things is this man is about legacy as well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can try and get rid of the guy, but he's leaving his legacy behind. So you
Mm-hmm.
think that you're gonna get this guy, and you're not thinking about the long run. And I feel like they try to do all of that. It hasn't been working, and now it's really serious because they're seriously scared.
Yeah, like he might get away with, or not get away. It might come out that he's not really uh
What they say he
guilty
is,
or
right?
whatnot. Well, I haven't even been paying attention to it, but with regards to legacy, regardless of what ends up happening to him, unless they seize his assets for debts that he may have, which I don't think he has a lot of debt
Right.
compared to in his asset column, um, his son is gonna inherit a
Correct.
lot of what he's already,
Right.
the wealth that he's getting, and his son thinks the same as he does. So regardless, it's like it's gonna be a net positive for the Trump family, no matter what happens, because he's the president. And it's kind of like one of those things where like, let's say you have a family member and he's a veteran, but he has like the Medal of Honor for whatever, whatever, and that's something that you can show and present to your family and say, wow, like, this is incredible. Look, we did this. Like, we were able to succeed in this. Like, my grandfather was, Army Ranger, and he did that. Like, a lot of people that are in like, I guess, the military families, they experience that. Trump's gonna experience that. He's probably already been experiencing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he became who he is because his dad was successful.
Right.
So it's like wealth produces wealth. It's just what it is. Now you gotta be a horrible parent to let that to lose that. Lose your children from being like
Right.
professional
For
or
it to
whatever. Yeah.
for your successes to die
Yeah.
with you.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Well, I don't know, but personally, that's not gonna be me. I'm like hell bent on making sure that I learn enough to be able to pass down the knowledge even to my children. I have written down in my will specifically that even like it's for their children. So they're not gonna get a lot of the things it's like your children are gonna be the ones to inherit because you have to have children because I want to live through them.
Right.
Like that's my way of manifesting back. They gotta have children, and it's like, what's this world coming to, man? This is crazy.
It's very sad, and again, is the destruction of the family, because what is one of the things that I always talk about as well is this whole thing with the LGBTQ whatever plus
Mhm.
agenda. It's to have these people not create families.
Mhm.
That's all it's about. It's not about um
Oh, so you're saying that the one of
in
the
big
main
part.
yeah the a part of the push of that is to depopulate. Maybe is that it? If you
Not
don't have
just to
families, you
depopulate.
have no children.
So one of the things that is always talked about is um if it, we just did now, if you have a family,
Mhm.
you get married, you have a wife, then you have kids, and you have that uh strong home where now one a better explanation that I saw online was, you know now the government is involved in your family
Mhm.
100% all the time, because wife goes to work, husband goes to work, kid goes to school.
Mhm.
So now the government has control of all three, because you are going somewhere where the money that you're making, there's a big chunk that goes to the government for both
On both parties.
on both parties. Now the kid is going to school, and the school is teaching them whatever curriculum they think that, not what they think, but what is passed down from federal government to state. Now, in the schools, they're teaching whatever they believe they should be teaching these kids. And, you know, this whole thing of the LGBTQ, like the kids are learning about that in school.
Mhm.
Like, why is that important? Like, why is it important? If I'm a heterosexual, sorry, and you can't, like, nobody teaches about that in school. Oh, what is it to be a straight man, and what is it to be a straight woman?
Well, the argument that they have is to be inclusive and to teach. So their thing is, well, a lot of children are swayed away from it.
But why are you more important than everybody else? Like, okay, you want to be gay, that's okay. Like, we've lived with that for a while now.
We get it.
We get it. You
Yeah.
want to be gay, but why do I have to now wear a rainbow,
Mhm.
or why do you want to take the rainbow away? And
I used to love rainbows.
right?
I used
So
to
now
really
you take
love
the
rain-
rainbow away, and
Yeah.
it's just reality. Like, a lot of people get upset with these
Yeah.
conversations, but it's just reality. So now you have to take the rainbow away. Now you have to have a parade
Mhm.
where everybody's half naked, and we have to see that in the streets. Like,
Well-
it's not something where you're celebrating and you're having a party, and you're having a private venue, and you're also
Mhm.
celebrating that you're alive and that you're gay and you're having a good
Mhm.
time. That's okay, but it's like we have to sit here and participate.
And watching a man with a thong on march
Right.
up and down the street while parading next to children, which
Right.
is really this is
This
really
is
what
exactly
happens.
what happens.
And so I personally don't care whether people are gay or not. I don't
Right.
care. It doesn't like I'm not discriminating against people like that. I just don't think that you need to be telling me about it
Or making me participate.
or making me have to.
Right.
I think like, for example, the transsexual agenda is
Mhm.
different than the gay agenda. I think that
They they're not the same,
I think
but they're
one
being
is-
chunked together.
yeah, I think one is more of a severe mental health issue.
Right.
And another is kind of just like people who make choices, they like to whatever they like. So I'm not really, I don't care on that regard. I do care when children are involved. Like, I think that you should not teach children. And on top of that, I think that you need to keep it private because the whole thing is based off of sex.
Right.
We do not need to know what you do behind closed doors. That's your own personal business. Because we could argue that, for example, there may be guys who are straight, but they like getting pegged. You know what I'm saying? Like they like things in their.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think that shit is weird. You to me, you're gay. Like if you doing that, but they may never have had like a gay relationship. They're doing shit with plastic. That may be their, what they're into. But I should never have to know about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where I'm at. Whereas people who are like they just push that agenda on us, it's like I'm not okay with that. Like I don't think it's right. But who am I? I can't change the world. I'm not trying to change these people.
Well, I think that you can't physically go out there and change people,
Mhm.
right? But you can have discussions like this and just logical, like forget about the facts, but just have logical conversations. Like there was a video I saw, a short on YouTube, and this guy's asking, do you think that a 14-year-old should be allowed with parental consent, or with parental consent get a tattoo?
I get it. What?
Or it might be with or without parental consent, but they're asking these people, should a 14-year-old get a tattoo?
Oh, tattoo.
Should they be able to? And they're like, no, they should wait until they're an adult. Why would that shouldn't be allowed? And then the guy asks, should a 14-year-old be allowed to be on puberty blockers without parental consent? And they're like, oh yes, it's their choice. It's their body. It's
something
and they're like,
that is much more detrimental.
Right. And then the next question is, do you think that that's because the argument was a tattoo is a permanent decision?
Right.
And they're saying, so that's not a permanent decision? No.
Wait, hold on. Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
There's no going back. If you take puberty blockers, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, let me say this. There's also a large proponent of the LGBTQPA whatever community that has that they do have like depression and suffer from all these other things,
Mental illnesses.
Mental health issues. And that is, like I said, I think it's whatever. If people want to be whatever they want to be behind closed doors, nobody should know about it. Nobody knows when you pray. Nobody should know when you're, doing your thing. Do your thing, live your life however you want to live. I have my strong beliefs on that, but I'm not going to go out there and try to push you being straight. I don't care. There's more women for me. Do your thing, buddy. But I think people need to be educated, and they need to think about what's actually going to happen, when you're 40, 50, 60 years old and you don't have children, you don't have a family, and now you're trying to adopt children, and it's like you're pushing an agenda that breaks up families, and it's over-sexualization going on.
Correct.
It's a lot of perversion. They're creating things, and they're giving it to women, and they're teaching women about how to do, and women are starting to look like trannies with the makeup and the lashes and all this shit. All this stuff is people they don't realize the operation. There's
behind the closed doors, right? It's a whole operation.
It's a whole operation. It's not this benign and noble cause.
Right.
It's not that. People may be good people. I personally love a bunch of people who I know are they're part of the LGBTQ. They're gay. They're gay people. I got mad love for them. They're good people. They're not bad people. They choose their lifestyle, and that's fine. And those people aren't going out of their way to try to inject their views onto children or onto other people. They're not walking around in a thong in New York, walking around, whatever. I just that's where I'm like, all right, there's something off about that. But and also, just this is my own thing. I really don't think women could be gay. Like, I think women are always gay. Like, I think all women to a degree are kind of gay. You know what I'm saying? So, that's just me.
Well, I think it also opens the path to other mental problems, meaning you know, the LGBTQIA plus, it keeps growing every day.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's also
yeah. Yeah,
it's creating a path for more people with mental illnesses
mm-hmm.
to unite to this, and then we have to see it as, oh, pobrecito, he's just this or
Mm-hmm,
he's just
mm-hmm.
that. It's like creating that path so that all these people that are sick to be able to be justified. It's creating
Mm-hmm.
this big ball
Of sick
of stuff
of people that have, I mean, not all of them, but
right.
there's some people that in there that may have some issues. Yeah.
Yeah, like we don't have
And a lot of people don't really hone in on the fact that a lot of these people are also sexually molested when as children, and then they hurt people, so they may find it to be normal to molest children and do other things that may not be the best thing for society. So you know
what do you think about Vladimir Putin passed a law that transgender people cannot adopt children?
yeah, I think that that's a good law to pass. I think on the balance of probability, you don't want that for your nation. As far as government's concerned, I don't see why government agencies would push. And let me just be clear, I am well aware that a lot of people who are pushing for this is like people like George Soros and others.
Right.
Like those are really the people that really are hardcore into pushing the degradation of our society, right? Marxists
Mm-hmm.
and people who have all these libertarians for the most part. Um, However, I think that for the structure of a nation, I think wholesome families are necessary. It's not a maybe it's a necessity. So when we have people like Putin saying that, well, we don't want LGBTQP whatever adopting children or just specifically transgender people, that is based on the fact that they've done enough science. There's enough data out there to suggest that these people do have some kind of mental issue,
Right.
and it was considered that way up until recently according to the DSM. So based on the reality, not saying there's people who are schizophrenic. What are we going to do, say schizophrenic people are okay now? Like we can't a lot of murderers are schizophrenic. My brother was murdered. I have a brother that was literally murdered by a schizophrenic. So I know more than most people the horrors of someone losing their mind like that. And these people have little bits of pieces of that. So, when you have dissociative identity disorder, which is something that a lot of people have, they don't really realize that they even have it. What dissociative identity disorder is, they think that they're someone else, basically, and they can have multiple personalities. And a good example of, well, I don't want to even give good examples of that. It's just imagine you think that, oh, I'm just, and a lot of women do this too. Like I think more women have a issue with this than we could care to even consider. But a lot of people have this issue where they're like, oh, well, when I'm on stage, I'm such and such. They attribute themselves to being another character,
Like Beyonce with Sasha
yeah,
Fierce.
exactly. That's dissociative identity. You're out of your mind. You think you're somebody different. You can kind of, if you want to be an actor,
Right.
that's fine. Be an actor when you're acting, but when you're out here like in real life and you think that you're a man but you're a woman, or you think you're a woman and you're a man, you're not. I don't see that being it. And then you're trying to force me to see that, and I'm like grounded in reality. I don't see that being the right way to go about it. And I celebrate Putin for doing the right thing, in my opinion.
He's ahead of the time because now, I was just watching.
Putin.
Well, he's not a bad guy. There's so many things that he does.
That's so crazy to hear, considering that apparently they are like enemy number one.
Oh yeah, they're such bad people.
Yeah.
But when you look at the laws and regulations that he has in Russia, like you want that for America. You want a guy like Putin. Staying on the track.
Do you really want Putin? Supposedly,
You have to take the good and the bad, and nobody's perfect. Nobody's gonna give you everything that you want.
Mhm.
Like like back in 2016 when, Trump was once Trump became president, and if you were just following the media, you were like, oh, I'm just tired of this guy. I just want him out of the office so I
Mm-hmm.
can, stop hearing about him. And then it just became like the media just took so bad about him
It was just
all
only
the
Trump,
time.
only bad.
Trump
Like
all day, every day, whether you turn on the Spanish channel, the
hilarious.
English channel, it didn't matter. It was, and then at some point I was like, there must be something that
Why?
he's doing right that the media doesn't like him so much, because at this point it's so obvious. It wasn't like, and when you go online and you see a full speech rather than some piece that they took out of context, you're like, this guy's not what they're telling you he is. And when you look at what he's done, you think about it and you say, well, I was so wrong, and I can admit to that
Yeah.
I didn't like the guy, and now that it's kind of like you didn't know what you had until you lost it. That's kind of how it feels like right now.
Yeah, one of the things that I've realized with social media and just podcasts in general, which I absolutely love, one of the reasons why I have a podcast is for long form content. You get a chance to see who the individual is, right? Like back in the day, I think that we had 60 Minutes with Barbara Walters and things like that. And that was the only time you really got a chance to sit down with like a political candidate and have an actual conversation. But now you're starting to see these people go on random podcasts and just have conversations, and you kind of see the humanity
Right.
of the individual. And I think that that's probably, back in the day, conspiracy theorists and you guys out there, you guys know who you are. The guys that were out there is talking about, oh, they're lizards, they're lizard people, and they're, look how he's blinking, and his, like, you could
Right,
see
that
him,
whole video.
you could see his eyes do this weird thing, like all this stuff. And
You think that's real? I think
no,
that's staged.
that's not real. That's crazy. But what I'm saying is, like, back in the day, people thought that people in the news weren't human because there was like a mystique of who is that? Oh, we see them on the news, they come up, and you don't see them in
And
real
talk
life.
very
Yeah, and they're all perfect, and all of a sudden, like, even
and now they're regular people.
and now you humanize them by
Right.
putting them in front of a camera, and then you see their humanity, you see their thoughts, and you kind of can get a better picture of who they are. I think that's extremely important for society. I think Donald Trump played a huge role in being able to bring the Oval Office to like the people, because he was just so brash and kind of talking openly and
Making people think.
yeah, allowing people to have a peek inside of what's happening besides the the bureaucracy, the being just such a bureaucrat about everything. So I I'm Native American. I have no stake in whether or not the United States chooses Trump or whoever they decide to choose. I don't give a damn because at the end of the day, I'm focused on my people. I hope the United States does good because obviously I have an equity stake in it. Honestly speaking, but I don't see. I think that there's bigger players in control than like the president. There's chairmans and like the president isn't the one running the show, basically is what I'm saying. Like Donald Trump is more of an actor in the whole scheme of things than the actual program. Like the program is BlackRock,
State Street,
Vanguard. These are the people who I am more interested in knowing what's their next move. Who are they? Because these people are the movers and shakers of the stock market and the
but
securities market.
what do they have in common, all three? They have one guy in common, which is George Soros.
Yeah, I mean,
and how much money did he invest in making sure that Trump doesn't win?
Black Lives Matters and this and that.
Not just that, but like he invested so much money so that Trump wouldn't win, which raises questions like, why do you not want this guy here? And like you're totally right. The argument that everybody has with me all the time is like, oh, the president doesn't really do anything. They're just there for a face to make the people think that democracy exists, which I agree with. But it's just that the guy makes people think. I think that's the issue. He makes people think, and he may get under your skin for a little bit, but then when you start to understand what he's talking about, and you start looking at the facts and you start looking at what's really going on, or at least a little bit.
Well, this is what I'd say. The government is much more complicated
Right.
than people can imagine. So the people who are running, quote unquote, the government, that's in itself, it's retarded. It's like there's not people running the government. You have thousands of agencies who have thousands of people that are working, and they're in positions where it's a lot of moving parts. So the elbow doesn't just move
Right.
because of this one, joint. You also have 1,000 other parts. And as funny as the weenus may sound, it's a piece of skin that's on top of your elbow, and it's called the weenus, and it does something, and blah blah blah. So we can't get away from the fact that even though that might be the funny part, it is a part that does something nonetheless. So government is like that, and as a whole, it's so complicated that the people who are in control of specific aspects of government, they see us say things like, "Oh, and the media runs the government," and blah, blah, blah. And it's like these people are so ignorant. I think that that's the perspective that intelligent people that are in government that do know, like that's their take on it. It's like us talking about war. We could sit here and talk this and that, but we don't know military strategy the way like the general that just retired, that he's sitting back at his house and he's watching all these podcasts about people having opinions, but they don't.
And you're like, ha, you have
He's
no
like,
idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, you guys literally have absolutely no clue what the hell you're talking about. So I acknowledge that I'm in that position when it comes to many things, and one of these things may be like international relationships and government, and there's just so many things. Like, you have to really sit there and be there to have a clue. But what I will say, in firsthand knowledge of things that I do know with regards to securities and foreign affairs, to when I was involved in it, I was in the United Nations, CARICOM as a youth ambassador. And at that point, like what I learned was that not everything is always like what it appears to be. Like there are many good people that are trying to do many good things, and most people, like literally most people, are good people trying to do good things. The guys that are the flight, from the traffic control guys, who that's an extremely stressful job, is just trying to land planes to the people that are, making guns somewhere, or whatever, the manager of whatever business, the people at BlackRock. I'm sure that their whole company might be good. There's just a few people that have specific agendas that they think it may be the best for the moment, and it ultimately may be something that's going to hurt other people at a specific time. So, but with that being said, there's one thing that I know that I will 100% stand by, is that the people at the Federal Reserve, the people that are in the banking institutions that know what the hell is going on with regards to securities, are not telling people how it actually works. And I don't give a damn about what people say. You are being 100% lied to. You're being manipulated, tricked, played, disillusioned. You're being confused on purpose. You're being deceived on purpose. You are 100% being lied to. Like, this is not a joke. This is a national emergency. And you need to start figuring out what the hell's going on with your mortgages and how does that work. Like, do crazy extensive research on mortgages. Find out what the word means and work your way up. Find out when it started, work your way up, and get to your county government and start asking questions. That's,
Yep. Well, that's the thing. You have to be actually interested, and I think that's why all these things exist, like TikTok and social media. It's just to distract you from
100%
from actually looking at the answers. If these things didn't exist, and you look at what's going on, and you're like, why are you sending this much money to this country? Why are you funding this and that, the other? And you start to research exactly what these people are doing, then you start to raise questions. But everybody's so lazy now with the video games, with the social media, being on TikTok, making these videos. Like, there's this Dominican guy. I can't think of his name right now, but he's he's a radio show host.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great guy. He says a lot of great things. And one of the things that he says, it's very dangerous for young people to make a lot of money without being educated.
Mm-hmm.
That is so dangerous, because now that you have this money, you don't you don't feel like you need all that. And guess what? You don't have the education. And I'm not talking about going to college and getting a degree on whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about just being educated, period, on anything, even like just to manage your money. It's so dangerous. And you have all these people making this money in social media, TikToks, whatever
Mm-hmm,
it is,
mm-hmm.
making these ridiculous videos that are 5 seconds that you see it and you don't think about it. You know, in the next in 5 years, you won't remember that video.
Bad Barbie, bad whatever, the Catch Me Outside girl. She just said that she made what, $50 million in like 2 years.
Right.
$50 million at it. So this is what I think is crazy with, and pardon I cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
This girl was 17 years old taking pictures, nude pictures of herself, that she then published when she was 18 years old, and got away with all that. Like, how are you taking pictures of yourself when you're a minor? You put it on OnlyFans now that you're an adult, 18 years old. Like, sounds so crazy. It's like, yesterday I was 17 and today I'm 18 and I'm going to just post pictures of my whole back, whatever.
Well, you know where the double standard is? If, let's say, she sent that picture to her boyfriend puts it on OnlyFans.
Mm-hmm.
Now she can sue the boyfriend because at the time that the picture was taken, she was a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
But because she's the one doing it, nobody cares. Which is crazy. She was a minor when she did that.
What is this child doing with $51 million or $50 million? You know, how is that where society is right now?
And it's celebrated.
How is this where we're at? And I'm not getting at her like, make your money, great. However, let's be honest, you don't deserve $51 million for showing your butt. Like, who are you to show your butt? And on top of that, it's like the drug dealers. So we're going to say that the drug dealers that never got caught, that they were selling fentanyl to the people, for whatever amount of money. Like, now they got $50 million in the bank. We shouldn't condemn them or say like, yo, you're wrong for that, or because you made your money a certain way, like you made dirty money, you're good. Like, now, no. I think that we need to shame all this stuff. Like, this stuff is not okay, irregardless of how you made your money. Like, if you made it in a dishonorable way, I mean, some people don't care. Like, it's not affecting me personally. Like, I don't know this girl, and I'm sure she's a good person. I don't know. However, she's doing things that I don't agree with regards to, but then again, that's the life she wants to live, and that's something that she's going to have to take to her grave. Like, she's going to have to live with that life. Her butthole. Can you imagine? Like, I can't. Your butthole is on the internet. Your smelly, nasty butthole is on the internet.
We don't know that part, but
it's smelly. Buttholes are smelly. Her butthole is smelly for sure. 100%. 100%. I know throughout my journey, I'm going to meet somebody who has sniffed her butthole, and I'm gonna ask them, yo, is that butthole, does it smell like a butthole?
And then you gotta come back on here and say, hey,
yo, that
you know
butthole,
what I said that time?
That butthole was smelly. Fact. And it's sad though that we have to live in a world where this is like this. Animals and this is like, I'm gonna clip this for sure. Animals definitely disrespect each other by turning their back to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Women, so basically, if you're a dog, like, you want to disrespect your dog, it's to show him your back. Your dog literally takes that as disrespect. Chimpanzees take that as disrespect. Even skunks, raccoons, squirrels, rats. This is a form of disrespect. Women turn their back towards you and start shaking their butt up and down, and we're supposed to be like, yay, like you're taking the dirtiest part of your body and now you're showing it to me, and I'm supposed to embrace that? Like, this is where we're at. This is like society's, this is the Babylonian This is Babylon.
Mhm.
This is Sodom and Gomorrah type stuff. And I don't know where we're gonna be headed after this, but nuclear war is around the corner. That's
Mhm.
for sure.
Mhm.
And if there's something that needs to go, it's like definitely without a doubt social media headquarters. Just wait till everybody leaves and then